So the drill press is a fairly simple tool to use when used properly and safely. So in this video, we're going to talk about the safety and setup of a drill press, and we're also going to talk about the different bits that you would commonly use. So let's get to it. The drill press here, there are a couple of key components that we need to understand and talk about. You have the chuck here, which is attached to the spindle, which is what spins the bit around. Inside the chuck, we have the chuck teeth. And this is going to be our feed lever, so this is going to allow us to move the bit into the material. Down here we have the table. This is an important surface that keeps our piece flat. We have another important piece called the chuck key. The chuck key is going to help us get the bit super tight in there. Over here we've got the height adjustment, so I can raise and lower depending on the thickness or the size of the piece. I've got the motor, and up in here, I've got my belt system so I can change the speed of the spindle. Fairly simple machine. To use this tool, you're gonna first take your basic bit, whatever bit you're gonna use, insert the bit in so that the shank is in the teeth, not the flutes. We don't want the flutes getting in contact with the chuck teeth. Then we're going to hand tighten this until it holds the bit. Now, if you just leave it like that, when you go to drill into something, the bit's gonna get stuck. So now we're gonna use our chuck key here, and there are these little holes around the chuck that we are going to insert the chuck key. So there's a gear and a little pin. Insert that into the chuck and turn, and we wanna do that with all of the spots. That way all of the teeth get equally cranked in there. Now if you leave the chuck key in there and turn it on, this thing is going to start spinning, and this chuck key is going to fly out at high speed and hit someone or hit you, and it hurts. So make sure that you remove the chuck key before starting the drill. So it's always a good idea to clamp your material down if you have the capability. This spindle and chuck is going to turn that bit fairly rapidly with quite a bit of torque, and it's going to want to twist your board on you. And it can hit you in the knuckles, it can fly out, it can damage your wood. So if you can, you're going to clamp this down. And then I'm also going to hold on to it so we have 2 points of contact. If you have a longer piece and you can clamp it in 2 areas, that's even better. Next, I want to make sure that I am in the right spot, so I'm going to do a dry cut here, check that I'm in the right spot, and we're good. Okay, so our setup is correct. We're in the right spot. Now we need to check and make sure we are properly equipped with our PPE. So I've got my safety goggles on. I've got my sleeves rolled up. I don't have any strings or anything to get caught in there. When I was in my middle school shop class, there was a girl who didn't secure her hair. She had long hair, didn't secure it, and it got caught in the spindle. Now, 2 things are gonna happen when you get your hair caught in the spindle. Either you're gonna get your face pulled down into the bit and it's gonna chew up your face because those are cutting blades, or it's gonna rip your hair out at the roots. And we're not talking a couple of strands of hair, we're talking a wad of hair. So luckily someone was close enough that hit the stop button before her face got pulled in, but it was a scary moment. They had to cut her hair off of the spindle. So make sure that you secure your clothing, your hair, you remove any dangly things that can get pulled into there. Okay, so we're ready to make the cut. Turn the machine on, make sure that it is secure and that you are holding it properly, and then you're going to slowly feed the bit down into the material. Now every so often you want to clear the material so that it doesn't bind up in there, and you're going to drill until you feel it pop on the way through. Right there it popped, and I can bring it back up, lock it in place, turn this off. Okay, once I'm done with my cut, I'm going to unclamp my material. I'm going to take my material and throw as much of that dust and sawdust and shavings into a garbage can, and there's the hole that I drilled. Now if there were shavings on the table, I would use a brush to clean them off, not my hands, so that I don't get any splinters. And I always want to remove the drill bit. Now, if you made long cuts or a bunch of cuts, the friction is going to cause this metal to be hot. So it's a bad idea to go ahead and grab that. So you're basically, to remove the bit, you're going to do the reverse, take your chuck key and loosen it, and then you're going to go and put it back wherever it belongs. And that's how you do your cuts. Fairly simple, fairly easy. So the bit that we just used was a twist bit. Now the twist bit is your basic, your common bit. It's what we mostly think of when we think of drill bits. Typically used for boring all the way through material, and it's going to be smaller diameter in general. Another common bit that we see is called a spade bit or a paddle bit. And it's characterized by this flat paddle where it has cutting teeth up here and a pointed area there. So the beauty of this bit is I can locate very easily on a precise spot. I can also drill halfway into my material, and that little point is going to stick out, which is then going to allow me to flip my board and drill the other way and not have any tear out. So that gives you a nice clean hole on both sides. If I don't do that, here's what happens. So you can see the tear out from not cutting from the other side versus the clean cut from flipping it over. That is a nice feature of the paddle bit, is you can get a lot cleaner cuts. And the other common one that we see is called a Forstner bit. It is going to be for boring flat holes. So generally speaking, if I'm going to use a Forstner bit, it is because I am not going to go all the way through the material and I want a nice flat cut. And the only spot that you're going to see is this little location pin right there. And the Forstner bit will give you a flat bottomed hole in usually larger diameters. So that's the benefit of the Forstner bit. Guys, that's really how easy it is to use the drill press. Thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. Peace.